you read as a kid the story of the tortoise and the hare, and that is a moral story about a tortoise beating a hare in a race because he's slow and steady. What does that say fundamentally about the human experience? Well, if you put 10 years into something, then you're going to beat the guy who blows up all suddenly, and then he gets lazy, he gets hedonistic, and he then gets overtaken by you. And I just see that as built into us. I mean, there's loads and loads of fables out there.
The Tortoise and the Hare is a mythological story. It's a narrative that symbolizes something fundamental about human beings, which is that don't be the guy that rushes, right? The tortoise wins because he's patient and he's humble and he's steady and he's wise. The hare might have all the speed in the world, but he rushes into things and he loses his judgment. And he gets distracted. And I like that point of hedonism. Maybe he gets that early success and he beats the tortoise in the first half of the race. So then he gets distracted by the beautiful lady hare on the side of the road that tempts him in. Or he finds a source of food and he gorges himself until he has to then sleep for 12 hours just to rest after that massive meal or something. Whereas the tortoise buys his time. He's wise. And it's silly. You're smiling and I'm smiling because it almost sounds silly that we're deconstructing a story you read about when you're 6 years old. But it's true. And that's why as a kid, you recognize something cool in that. We all remember the tortoise and the hare because it's baffling to us that the tortoise beat the hare, but somehow we understand it.
And you know what, Joel? I reckon in some abstract thing, some abstract point that all these stories come together. Because like this, when the hare starts becoming hedonistic, that he's tempted by something, and there comes Jung's archetype of the temptress, and also the femme fatale, and the woman in the red dress from The Matrix. It's all the same.
Yeah, the woman in the red dress. That's such a brilliant analogy. Wow. Yeah, I remember Hormozy talking about that. This. I think I'm also Greg McKeown. I haven't read the book, but his book Essentialism, talking about the problems that arise for getting successful is the more opportunities open up. And then you take those opportunities and then you put less time into the thing that made you successful and you decline. It's something that, that podcast you sent me, really early Joe Rogan, like in the 400s where he had Robert Greene on for the first time. And they talk about that pattern of someone being successful, not being patient and humble and getting distracted and falling off. I mean, that's, in a way, all of that truth is squeezed into a story like The Tortoise and the Hare. I mean, I love this. I love this a lot.
So to be clear on kind of what we're talking about for the listeners, on the Rogan podcast, Robert Greene said, if you get it right first time, it's a curse.
Yes.
And the theory behind that is that you then think you probably become incredibly narcissistic. You think I think he used the words untouchable.
Yeah.
And to talk about the woman in the red dress, this is some theory that I think Hormozy popularized of when they're in the Matrix. There's a scene in the first Matrix with Neo, and he's like running behind Morpheus, and there's this woman in a red dress that passes him, and he looks, and Morpheus says, "What did you just do?" And the woman in the red dress transforms into an agent, which is like the bad guy from The Matrix. And this is used as a metaphor of I think you actually kind of explained it. Yeah, things that when you become successful, there's more opportunities, but there's more women in the red dress. There's more of this kind of lustful, tempting business ideas and pleasures and things, and they try to take your distraction, but you've got to focus and ignore them.